Good morning, everybody. John Spickley here for GAI Insights with the GAI News team, rating your top news essential, important, or optional. Putting thoughts in your head and time in your day. Remember, you can find our articles at gaiinsights.com/articles. Also, if you're looking at us on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Today, we have Kevin Petrie from BARC. Lovely to have you, Kevin. Thanks for joining.
Great to be here. Thank you.
We have Luda, Paul, and Ankash. All right, let's get into it. Ankash, first article, please.
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from Harvard Business Review, and it talks about how to make enterprise GenAI work.
Yeah, we have our friend Tom Davenport along with a couple of professors from Stanford on this, how to scale these things up and what it means to organizations to go from pilots and prototypes to actual transformation, what we call going from islands of automation to orchestration. Kevin, what'd you think?
Great article, very interesting. I'm a fan of Tom Davenport, and he's obviously a longtime contributor to GAI Insights, but also to HBR. I think that this is a timely article because there's been this concern lately in the wake of, among other things, the report from MIT, possibly not the strongest research methodology, but talking about 95% failure rates for GenAI projects. What he's saying is that it's important to have experimentation at the end user level among your employees. How do they use Claude? How do they use ChatGPT to help with their knowledge work? But the way to deliver measurable and meaningful results is to scale and to start to build this into your enterprise workflows. We all know that. I think that's very much true, and it takes time to figure out how to do that. What he doesn't do is talk about, or what they don't do is talk about how to specifically select the use cases that are viable to scale. But there are several meaningful and meaty examples with JetBlue, Accenture, and others that talk about how they had different teams across the enterprise work together to stitch together their data flows, their governance controls, and their business processes in order to apply GenAI and achieve meaningful, although incremental, improvements to business results. Overall, I would rate this important. I think it's a good glimpse of how to scale. I think it would have been good at the front of the article to talk a little bit about how to identify within all your experimental projects, which ones are viable to scale. But with that said, I think it's an important reading for the AI leader.
All right, we're getting important here. What do you think, Ankash?
Yeah, I think important for me as well, John. So this article, while I was reading it, I was just remembering the SAP case study that we had discussed a few weeks back, right, where they have refurbished their sales cycle for medium to large clients, where they have reduced the sales cycle from 12 to 18 months to 3 to 4 months, and how all the lessons that are given in this particular article, they have already worked on them. So I think it's an important reading for any enterprise leaders to understand how to go from individual productivity enhancement to orchestrators like we have in our framework, John.
Yeah, what do you think, Luda?
Yeah, it's very approachable article. Doesn't go into much detail and talk about data readiness, like we know, collaboration and how do you work in teams, and then agentic AI and how to prepare for it. So 3 major trends/themes throughout this article, and I think it just captures what you need to be thinking about. So important for me as well.
All right, Paul.
I was much more bullish, guys. I was on essential. I think this is an article I want the AI leader to forward. I think it talks about what we're seeing a lot on just in them. We're getting a lot of inbound, and we're helping a lot of companies with 101 literacy. But the real value isn't, Kevin, that 201. It's typically at the department level. And that's at least something we're starting to get to there. So I think that's one of the reasons. Second is, I think the number of examples, 4 or 5 other companies doing it. So you do want the other executives in your company know that, we are falling behind if we aren't doing this next phase after experimentation. So from affordability standpoint, and from ease of read, I had this essential.
All right. Yeah, I was coming in on important originally. I have a lot of stuff to comment, especially. I, I actually it felt like the front half of a two-part article and the second half isn't there. Which is, what's the framework? Just the kind of stuff you're saying, Kevin. What are the rules of the road in terms of choosing? How do I scale? How do I kill things that are lousy experiments? Right, just all the normal stuff. But yeah, fair enough. I do think it reflects the business need. Tom is an eloquent communicator, and it might be the Stanford people. Tom may just be on for the ride, but we happen to know him, and he's a quality thought leader here. So I don't know. I could go with essential. Let's go essential. We're gonna live.
Yeah, there was I'd like to hear Paul's view. I'm okay with essential, but there's a disconnect, Paul, right, between the promise of the article name with the content. So
Right.
it talks a big game, how to make enterprise Gen AI work, and then doesn't quite deliver on that promise.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Well, I am, and I think the challenge I think we can see is the adoption gap is just continuing to get wider, right? So the frontier capabilities going out there, companies aren't keeping up, and then the AI leader, who's a Gen AI enthusiast within the company, is not always having his company at there. So,
All righty. So let's go essential here.
yeah.
We live in wild and dangerous early on a Friday. Okay.
Well, I think part of what I think I'm getting at, if I'm articulate, I think what we need is continue to find the AI leader, find motivator factors, not just explain everything here. And I'm going to explain how the gap is so. No, here's actually ways to help you get your company moving faster, and this falls in that category.
Yeah. All righty.
But again, I'm sorry, but we're beating up essential, and I think it is very important. If you look at going into AI as a change management process, the first step is build the urgent case for change, right? And so that's where it starts. And this is the next step, is find the community, get the communication going, get the experimentation going, and then transfer into something verifiable and doable, right? So I think we're now talking about the second step. But if you haven't built the urgency, this wouldn't happen either.
And if you haven't identified the viable use cases that can cross that chasm.
That's true too.
Yeah, it's interesting. Great leadership is so rare, and so the idea of creating that urgency, following up, doing transformation, it's a lot of hard work, and just and I'm writing something now. I'm going to publish in Forbes about, if you chase the average, the best you can be is average, right? I mean, this is a phenomenon that one thing I'm getting more and more convinced from all the data that we see from Anthropic and from OpenAI and so forth about actual use data, that the way AI is getting adopted right now is just going to widen the gap between the adopters and the intelligence leveragers and everybody else. And we have the spread from modern management, from industrialization, from automation. This is going to push the spread way out farther, because those who can really leverage intelligence across their organizations, they're going to skyrocket, and people who are looking at averages just are going to miss it totally. So I think
that's true.
That's
yeah,
true.
It's very easy to achieve mediocre results by doing this in a half-assed way.
Yeah, I mean, most of the advice is, it's like, okay, if you're advising the dinosaurs, should we go get some sweaters? It's like, no, you have to involve in something else, Anyway, okay, essential it is. Thank you, Paul, for a little bit of juice in the morning. All right, next.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from Perceptron, and they have introduced ISAC 0.1.
Yeah, it's interesting. This company is named after, well, I don't know for sure if they did, but it's a very famous book in ancient AI from the 1960s called Perceptron, which was done by Minsky and Paver. Anyway, let's see. We have Akash on this. Akash, go for it.
Sure, John. So this one is a new model, and it's a small model, 2 billion parameters. So when you start reading it, you don't get the gist of it, what they're trying to say about their model. But seems like it's a model which can see images, understand them, and then answer questions through those images. Since it's a small model, it can be used on the edge. So factories, cameras, sensors, right? And you can train it with a few short examples. So that's good as well. And it's open source as well. So I think those are the positives for this, but they don't go into very much detail how it is trained and other details. So they have given the weights, but on Hugging Face, there are not a lot of details how they trained it and the use cases and stuff like that. So I was between optional and important for this one, John.
Yeah, very interesting. This edge intelligence. I think people are underestimating the power of these new kinds of perception capabilities. Ludo, what do you think?
Yeah, I was optional. It's a product announcement. It seems like it has a lot of promise to what Ankash said. I agree with that, but it's a product announcement, and let's see how it goes. I guess optional for me.
Optional for you, Kev.
I was going to say important, but that might reflect my own. This is an area I don't know enough about. I think it's a fascinating application of AI, and to Luda's point, it has a lot of potential. Just in the spirit of creating awareness of the opportunity to apply AI to the physical realm and GenAI to the physical realm, I would say important. I could certainly be talked into optional because it is a product announcement.
Paul?
Definitely optional.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I give this an optional because it is a product announcement. I do think it's an important area, early days. But I mean, if you look at that graph, and it's pretty impressive, right? Because that's a log scale on the x-axis, and its ability to do perception. I just think that so much of, I mean, we're going to see more on this, the models that they're doing for the robots. But I think that this notion of smart, sensors at the edge that can create intelligence is going to drive a tremendous amount of adoption. Optional. Okay, next.
Okay, the next one that we have today comes from General Robotics, and it is titled How We Are Building Humanoid AI Skills with Dream Control.
Yeah, Luda, what do you think?
Yeah, robotics is one of my areas that I really like, and I'd like robotics to come out of the experimentation mode that they have been at. It appears that is coming. So in the media, there were a number of articles just recently that robotics VCs are really focused on robotics. There's quite an increased investment levels in size and in quantity. So it seems like it's coming to its realization soon. This particular article from General Dynamics or announcements announces dream control, and it has underneath a number of innovations that I think it's important to note for the overall leader, for the overall public, but it's probably optional because it's so still robotics oriented. The innovations here are several fold. They're using a diffusion model and using the data from very easily available data, manual operations, human operations. So they're using the diffusion model to pre-train or come up with not jerky, continuous motions, and then they transfer it very innovatively into real life. They select the ones that are not jerky, and so several innovations here that I think will push robotics even further into that realized realm. So optional, important for me.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, this whole notion of the role of synthetic data and projection, if you will, of a working environment or thinking environment, and what that does to the learning algorithms. It's just, I think a lot of people don't appreciate the interaction between the synthetic data, projection and improvement, and it's very different from we both mathematically and model wise. I mean, we haven't had a lot of this capability for very long.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you think, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, everyday miracle on the physical side. I do agree, John, with this whole notion of learning, both from physical and watching others. I mean, it's just going to accelerate stuff here. But for our AI leaders, this is optional. They aren't dealing that much with robots right now, for the most part.
All right, an optional there, Akash? Huh?
Physical robots. I'm just clarifying physical robots because we also say ask a robots. We're talking about ask the software robots.
Yes. Yeah.
John, optional for me as well.
Optional, Kev? Optional?
Yeah, I think optional. The demographic reality is that we need robots because we're an aging population, and we won't have enough workers to take care of the old people that are living longer. Robots are going to be play a big role there. As I see my aging parents, I think about it more each year. But optional.
Yeah.
If we can find someone to pay for it, Kevin.
What's that?
If we find someone to pay for it, it's willing.
Yes.
To
The federal government will not help in that regard.
Yeah, well, we could actually have a rational immigration policy that might help too. Anyway, let's not go there now.
Yeah, I could go a long way on that.
People still want to come here, you know. My grandparents came here. They loved it.
Scare away all the smart people.
Yeah, I think they were a net add to the country, but that's my opinion. Okay. We're going to give this an optional. Headed for IBM Granite. Go for it.
Yes, next one comes from IBM, and it talks about IBM Granite dockling end-to-end document understanding with one tiny model.
Yes, I always love the IBM naming here because my mother was born in Quincy, Massachusetts, which is the Granite City. Anyway, so here we have it. What do you think, Kevin?
Interesting article. IBM is contributing to GenAI model development. They have a document that will convert images and text into machine readable text. Very small model. I think it's 256 million parameters. And you know, they kind of talk about how it can be used in different use cases. Ultimately, I think it underscores some trends we already know are happening, which are the small language models play a rising role in a lot of these things. They're addressing more specialized use cases. This particular offering and announcement seems pretty narrow. It seems like a product announcement, and I would say it's optional for the AI leader.
All right, optional for the AI leader. What do you think, Akash?
Again, optional for me, John. I think it addresses one of the most important use cases of GenAI right now, document conversion rate. But still, it's a product announcement. We have seen similar products from Mistral and others coming up as well. So that's why optional.
Okay, Luda?
Yeah, optional, but I liked how they did it, and I'd love to try it because it seems like it's super easy and a great tool. So I optional because it's product announcement, but I think they found a good way to retain metadata and get this converted very easily.
All right.
And a cool name, to John's point.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm guessing Paul can give this option.
Yes.
All right, optional it is. Akash next.
Okay, moving on to the next one. This one comes from China and NVIDIA. So Chinese officials are urging Chinese firms to shun NVIDIA AI chips.
Yeah, so interesting. I'm on this one, and I'm going to give it an optional. But the political dynamics here, I think that the world at large is completely underappreciating what's happening here in terms of geopolitical power struggles in the context of what we're calling the intelligence cluster and then the physical robotics cluster. And if you think of those two clusters together, that's going to be the cluster that's going to dominate world, I think, economic power and military power. And what's really interesting here is that I think the Chinese are playing it super smart. They're kind of torturing NVIDIA in the right way, if I were them, because they're saying, okay, your commodity chips, the hand-me-downs, if you will, we're not going to buy those. So that hits NVIDIA, economically. Meanwhile, because a lot of the projections are Chinese growth. And meanwhile, the Chinese are upping their skills, and the U.S. is saying, no, you can't have the top level ones. I think they're playing it exactly right. They're going to build domestic. They already have in terms of chip capability. They're open sourcing their models, which is I think is going to eviscerate a lot of the profitability of the U.S. investments in the frontier models, which is a great way to hurt the market leaders. And the rest of the world's adopting Chinese models because they can't depend on the U.S. to not do crazy stuff. I think the Chinese are just playing this very, very well. This particular article is optional.
And John, a few other things. Yeah, I mean, notice also in news that Intel is now, NVIDIA is investing in Intel. And I think the other thing is, if you look at global history for the last 500 years, how much that was dominated by oil. And if digital AI leadership is the next oil and it's going to really move geopolitics as well, that's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I think the scary thing for the United States, if you take a U.S.-centered view, is that China is vertically integrated into both the intelligence cluster and the robotics cluster. We are not vertically integrated in the robotics cluster right now. If those humanoid robots we're just looking at probably have Chinese actuators, Chinese sensors, Chinese motors, so that's a real concern for the U.S. along with critical materials, I think. So anyway, I think from a geopolitical standpoint, we've done a really bad job about keeping access to critical minerals and materials and vertically integrating into the next physical cluster. Anyway, all right. What do you think?
Yet again, we have more commentary on the optional. I know I contributed.
I know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the thing is, it raises a high level question that I don't see a lot of. I mean, Tom Friedman saying stupid stuff, in the New York Times. I mean, the naivete. I mean, everything Tom Friedman has predicted pretty much has been wrong. But it sounds great. The world is flat. No, it's not. Not even close. Anyway, Ankaj.
Yep, optional, John. I think the AI leader doesn't need to read this.
Okay. And Kev?
Yeah, optional. You're right. There are all kinds of huge geopolitical forces swirling around this. This particular optional article is optional. I was struck that, I think Ankaj, you might have said yesterday that there are more Chinese models getting downloaded from Hugging Face now than US models, if I heard you right. I wrote it down because it surprised me. It underscores the competitive threat. The other interesting thing about China, as an aside, is that they're tackling those lower end use cases, the more practical ones that could deliver more business benefits, as opposed to the pie in the sky AGI stuff that some US leaders are focused on. So a lot of interesting dynamics here. This particular article.
I was yesterday, the day before in the Daily News, we had an open source Chinese model that was as good or better than the closed source OpenAI deep research model.
Okay.
So it's yet another indication that Chinese open source just being stellar, capable products.
Yeah. So the chip policy really isn't helping. I mean, in that regard.
Right. We're talking so much about this particular one and underlying dynamics. I wonder whether we should. Yeah, I know this article doesn't score those dynamics, but it's very important for the leaders to really pay attention to this environment, if you will, that we operate in, and push the applications and contribute in a way and in a small way that they can to being US focused, if you will. So I think somehow I'm thinking maybe we should consider putting it as essential and underscoring the dynamics that are in play here.
I hear you, Luda. I just hate to do it on such a thin article that
It is thin article. I agree.
Right. Luda, one of the things we're getting a lot of requests for, and it's inches away from our capability, is just look at all the essential articles for the last month and make sure we've got the 3 or 4 themes. We kind of do it anecdotally here.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's one way to say, at the end of what month is September, here's the 4 themes, and one of them is China.
Or you might go a little further, right? You might take 2 months, but just underscore certain trends that
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Awesome.
One quick point on this one is just that it also underscores Jensen Huang has spent so much time trying to navigate the geopolitics, trying to curry favor with various countries with this AI sovereignty strategy and so forth. And it just shows how hard and capricious a world it is for CEOs trying to lead in the AI realm to deal with a lot of policy changes, a very unpredictable policy environment.
Yeah, I hear you, Kevin. But as my kids would say when they were teenagers, Dad, you know what this is? The world's falling, World's smallest violin. Okay. You know,
The poor guy's not going to miss any meals over
it's
this.
going to take a while before I feel bad for him or
We,
Musk.
we also don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I mean, China could well be negotiating with NVIDIA for a massive order for their top-end chips and want a price break on that and say, I'm going to smash you over the face here and then
yeah.
back off.
Yeah, we don't.
Possible.
We do know. I agree. We don't know the real politics underneath and what's really going on, but I do think that one thing is absolutely clear to me, which is that as Ashish is saying, that the U.S. is not as trusted as it used to be as a technology partner on critical things, and the same thing with energy and so forth. And you can see, and I'm not making a political statement. You can look at any poll that looks at this stuff. And the Europeans think the United States is the most dangerous country in the world in terms of world peace. I mean, it's just, and that just continue to go, depending on how you think about it, up or down. So I think that, the Pax Americana is dead and buried, and, and the trust of us as a partner on critical things has gone down radically. And that, for one, for me, makes me sad. But organizationally, I agree with you, Kevin. It makes life much more difficult for AI leaders. And the other thing is, in these software realms, it doesn't take a lot of capital to really take the profitability out of certain companies. And so, as the Chinese get adoption, it's going to create real issues. Anyway, what's your U.S. And fantastic for the rest of the world, right? They're whatever optional. I'm going optional. Sorry, but Ankash, last article, please.
Before you go there, there's a comment from Valda that actually, to the point that we're beating up on optional and too much, maybe. But she says, no, we are not. It's very good that we're doing that, because she learns what not to do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Compliment for all of us. Thank you, Valda.
I feel better now.
All right. Yeah, Ankash, we got Chrome here.
Yes. So the last one that we have for today comes from Google, and it is about Chrome, the browser that we love, is now reimagined with AI.
Yeah, Ankash, you're going to go into it, but I think this is one of the most underreported things. The fact that Google got to hold on to Chrome, which I think was a crime, not a crime, but I think totally. I think they should have been forced to divest Chrome, but whatever, they still have it. And I think it's really interesting when you think about where the browser sits in this whole intelligence race. Go ahead, Ankash, not to stomp all over your analysis here.
No worries, Sean. So basically what Google has announced is, so there are 3 new things in Chrome. First is they are introducing Gemini in Chrome. So basically Gemini will be able to go across all your tabs in Chrome and suggest you ways or to do stuff, or it can do stuff for you like booking tickets or other analysis. And then another thing that they have introduced now is the AI mode is now available in the search bar or the address bar now. So you can operate Gemini from here only, or AI mode from here only. And then the last thing is, I think they have introduced AI powered warnings, which have made Chrome safer. So I was maybe optional on this one, John, because these are the things that Google would have done sooner rather than later, because we are already seeing Comet from Perplexity, Dia browser, OpenAI investing in developing a browser. So this is a progress in that direction, but still optional news, I would say.
All right, and I just want to be mindful of time. So we're going optional from Ankash. What do you think, Kevin?
I'd say important. I think key thing to keep in mind is Google's really good at keyword search. There's more and more evidence that coupling keyword search with AI semantic search is a good way to go. That plays to Google's advantage.
Luna?
Important. This is an arena of the war, right? So, and they are putting their foot forward. So we'll see more.
Paul?
Definitely important. AI leaders need to understand that AI mode there. I've been using it a lot lately, and it's definitely going to influence product and company discovery.
I had it as important, but how about essential? Because, look, you look at the market share, this is the entry point for most people to AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
John,
can
this
listen.
is not.
Well, it's a product announcement, John. You know.
Fair enough. All right, important it is.
And do we know
sorry.
if this is live yet?
Yeah,
Because
it
I
is.
don't
It
think
is in the
it's live yet.
States. It's in the, it's
Okay.
live in the
I
States.
tried it, Paul. It doesn't show up. But yeah, maybe I didn't try it well.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Okay, so important it is. Yes, thank you, Nina. This notion of AI in their hands through the browser. Absolutely. I think once again the telcos are missing an opportunity here. I think they should put a meta browser into the phone and be the gateway to intelligence. But they're busy giving up power to the models, which makes no sense to me. But that's the whole conversation. Okay, announcements as Ankash puts our choke board together.
Monday, Learning Lab, today's Friday already, is our colleague Lucinda Lindy is going to be talking about evals, really important topic. So really appreciate that. Second is our a big annual conference. Our third one now is 10 days away, and we are getting close to sellout mode. So we may sell out as early as Monday midday.
Excellent. Any other announcements? Kevin, anything from Bark?
Bark's doing well. I'm looking forward to the GAI World event. We're rolling out, we're ramping up M&A services for software vendors. If there's interest there, it's a dynamic marketplace and we can help you.
Awesome. Ankaj, Luda, any news for the world?
No, not really.
All right, here we are. One essential, four optionals, and one important. All right, have a good AI weekend. Look forward to seeing you all on Monday, and have a productive and fun time. Bye.